Tonight, TikTok pulling content off its platform after videos promoting Osama bin Laden's letter to America started gaining momentum.
This morning I read Letter to America.
The letter, written in 2002, 1 year after 9/11, by the al-Qaeda leader, justifying one of the worst terrorist attacks in the U.S. that left nearly 3,000 dead.
I just read
A Letter to America.
Go read it.
Did y'all know that the tax dollars are given to Israel to help them kill all the people in Palestine?
The videos adding to an already contentious and heated debate online over the Israel-Hamas conflict.
I literally read it last night.
I just read a letter by Osama bin Laden, and my whole world has changed. I just read a letter by Adolf Hitler, and my mind is blown. The dude had bars. This is where we are. I mean, the Hitler part's probably next, because did you think that one of the worst terrorists to ever grace the earth would be the hero of so many people?
I need you to stop what you're doing and go read A Letter to America.
The way this letter is going viral right now is giving me the greatest sense of relief.
People would read this copy that was flatly anti-American and anti-Semitic and find empathy with the words of Osama bin Laden, who's responsible for the death of nearly 3,000 innocent Americans, is really sort of pathetic and sad. And it shows how far we've gone. Not only did they find sympathy, but they decided to record themselves and amplify how impressed they were just for clicks.
That's the logical conclusion, unfortunately, that people with soft brains are led to just 5 weeks into a war between Western values, democratic values, of a people who have been living under fear and terror, just like the U.S. has from al-Qaeda, but this time from Hamas in Israel. Just 5 weeks later, after starting out defending the terror attacks and the goals of Hamas being justified, the worst atrocities I've ever heard of in my life, and now they defend 9/11. The worst terror attack on American soil that killed nearly 3,000 Americans. But the dude wrote a letter justifying his actions, and that's enough for me. I'm on board.
It's giving me the greatest sense of relief.
This is where we are, and it's the exact same justification, a simplification of very complex issues, boiled down to anti-colonialism, which again doesn't even apply with Israel because Israel is indigenous to the land, just like the Palestinian people are, and boiled down to resistance. You can just resist in any way you want. If you think someone's oppressing you, you can murder them with the use of terrorism. You can rape the people, you can behead them, you can burn them alive because you don't like the way you've been treated. Have you ever heard of talking? You ever heard of negotiating? Have you ever heard of making sure you improve the situations you live in through civilized means to be better than the people you claim are so bad instead of being thousands of times worse? But that's where we are. That's the exact same thinking that is being used to justify terror in the Middle East right now. As my friend Michelle Alexander beautifully put it, quote, "This precisely is the problem with one or two word expressions such as hashtags and rally chants. Like, we don't mean by no ceasefire to bomb innocent Palestinian people anymore than people who say ceasefire now mean to allow Hamas to slaughter more Israelis. And I grant you no ceasefire as a chant that spontaneously erupted at part of the pro-Israel anti-Semitism march that I was at in DC sounds like a call for more violence. But when you look at the details, it simply just means Israel should be allowed to continue its war effort to remove Hamas, the terrorists, from power, and has nothing to do with Palestinians. Whereas ceasefire now, literally, while on the surface you think it means you're just calling for peace, it actually means you are telling Israel it can no longer defend itself. It has to put down its weapons, while the murderous terrorists vow to continue doing more October 7ths again and again until Israel is literally annihilated from the earth and all Jews are killed. That's what ceasefire now means when you're not putting it in any context, when you're not saying ceasefire now in exchange for the hostages, when you're not saying anything that actually is aligned with what you acknowledge when you get down to the details is your goal, which is you agree with Hamas being removed. You just want the loss of innocent life to stop. So it does not mean that you have to endorse all actions of the Israeli government to be able to be on the right side of history here. In fact, I criticize the Israeli government all of the time. I think the illegal settlements are outrageous and disgusting. I think Netanyahu is a warmonger and has to go. I think that the conditions the Palestinian people have been living under for far too long are horrible and so difficult. I think that Israel needs to be much more cautious and careful and strategic and tactical with its removal of Hamas to reduce the loss of innocent life whenever possible. I've criticized Israel when there were babies at the hospital that they were doing an operation in because Hamas has terror capabilities in that hospital. I criticize them for risking those babies' lives and only praise them when they then decided to offer incubators and usher those babies to safety, which they did. I praise them only when they opened a first and then second humanitarian corridor, but criticize them when they were not allowing aid in to the Palestinian people who were suffering. All of that nuance can be allowed when you actually care about the details and don't just sign on to a hashtag or to a chant that you don't understand, or at the very least, that others who read it don't understand and take it to mean, oh my God, Israel's being the bad guys because they won't stop bombing, they won't stop attacking, ceasefire now. What do you mean? There was a ceasefire on October 6th, and Hamas broke that. And you're basically just saying Israel has to stop and wait until the next terrorist attack, when they get innocent people in Israel murdered again, and then again they'll respond, and then again you'll say stop again, only when it's Israel trying to defend itself. So I can criticize, as can you, the Israeli government and the Israeli army's war effort, the details of it, without throwing the baby out with the bathwater and siding with evil terrorists to do so. Because despite all of those criticisms, you can still realize that there is a noble moral purpose in removing Hamas, one of the great evils this world has, one of the worst terror organizations on par with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. You know, Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda, and you can carry that nuance while pushing to eradicate evil from this earth and allowing good people to live in peace. And those good people are the Palestinians and the Israelis. And if your hashtag doesn't support both and doesn't allow both to live free of fear and terror, then maybe you're falling into a rabbit hole that could lead you to thoughts as degraded and simple-minded as supporting one of the worst terrorists to ever attack U.S. soil. Please check the effects of what the things you are haphazardly posting or supporting are, because you can't take them back once lives are lost and once evil gets to flourish. I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. Follow me at Ben Gleib on Instagram, Twitter, or X or whatever as well for lots more.